going to spend just a few minutes with our ritual director, Ben Kreshtol, doing a little bit of a text study for this morning's Parsha. And as we get into it, I want to look at two particular sections of the Parsha, just a few verses from each section, so you have a little bit of comparison, one section to the other section, and keeping in mind a question of culpability. So something terrible has gone wrong here. That's clear. But whose fault is it? You know, and there are potentially multiple parties that we could blame. Moses might be considered. Aaron might be considered. The people might be considered. Maybe even God would be considered. So let's take a look first at the beginning of the 32nd chapter of Exodus. It's the first few verses describing sort of the lead-in to the golden calf sin. So I hope you have your Chumashim with you still. It's page 529. 529. 32nd chapter there. 529. So I'll read it out loud. Those of you who haven't memorized it yet. When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, the people gathered against Aaron and said to him, to Aaron, "Come, make us a god who shall go before us, for that man Moses, who brought us from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has happened to him." Aaron said to them, "Take off the gold rings that are on the ears of your wives, your sons, your daughters, and bring them to me." And all the people took off the gold rings that were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. This he took from them and cast in a mold and made it into a molten calf. And they, the people, exclaimed, "This is your God, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt." Aaron saw this and built an altar and announced, "Tomorrow shall be a festival for the Lord." Okay, that's section number one. If you want, keep your finger on the page, but we're going to turn over to page 534. Page 534, verse 21. Now this is after the sin has taken place. Moses has come back down from the mountain. God has noticed what was going on. God sends Moses down. The second set of tablets has been shattered. And Moses has this interesting conversation with Aaron that goes like this. Moses said to Aaron, "What did this people do to you that you have brought such great sin upon them?" Aaron said, "Let not my Lord," in other words, Moses, "let not my Lord be enraged. You know that this people is bent on evil." They, the people, said to me, Aaron, "Make us a god to lead us, for that man Moses, who brought us from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has happened to him." So I said to them, "Whoever has gold, take it off." They gave it to me. I hurled it into the fire, and out came this calf. Okay, how did that happen? Okay, so first thing, Ben, any thoughts about the juxtaposition of the two descriptions of what happened there?
Well, I think Aaron is having a little bit of a revisionist moment there in terms of recollection. But it's like, when you're a kid and you steal a cookie from the cookie jar and then the cookie jar falls and breaks and then your mom comes home and is like, "What happened here?" It's like, "I don't know, it just fell off the shelf. I don't know." And it's the same thing for Aaron here, who is very culpable in this particular. I blame Aaron, I think, the most out of everyone. The people, fine. It's fine to blame them a little bit, but they don't know anything, right? But the two texts are very similar, right? It's true what Aaron does say, right? The people came to me and said, "Make me this god." And then they said also that you went up there and that man Moses, and we didn't know what happened to him. Those two things are true, right? Those two things did happen. But the third thing about the calf, right? In the first instance, Aaron throws the gold into the fire and fashions a calf. Right? In the second revisionist version, it just happened. Don't know what happened.
Notice also in the second version that Aaron is suggesting that blame might lie in two particular areas. Right. He says the people.
Right.
Says the people's bent on evil. I mean, that's pretty clearly casting blame on the people.
Which I don't think is a fair assessment.
And then he says, and I think this is very subtle, he says, those people, they said to me, "Make us a god to lead us." Why? Not because God is not here, but because Moses isn't here.
Right.
And I think that's Aaron's subtle way of saying, hey, Moses, you left me hanging here.
You tarried
You know,
too
what was I supposed to do? What was I supposed to do?
Well, I think this was not the answer.
Well, it didn't work out well. Aaron doesn't take any blame. He doesn't want to take any blame. You know, and Ben is right. There are three pieces of the first text that are reported here the second time around. Aaron gets two of them right. You know, he accurately reports that the people came to him. He accurately reports that they said, Moses is not here, make us a god. And then he inaccurately reports how it all happened. In the first instance, the Torah clearly says that he made it himself. He made it. In the second text, he says, I don't know how it happened. I just threw the stuff in and it came out. I would, in Aaron's defense, I would suggest that, you know, memory is a tricky thing.
Okay.
In general. And probably many of us have things that we've done in the past that we don't remember completely accurately. Let's just put it that way.
I'll grant you that, but this was like a day later, and what you're talking about is, you know, a long time from then and now.
Many years later?
Perhaps. I'm just saying, look, this thing happened, you know, Moses comes down, and it's not so far away. It's a recent occurrence.
Okay.
You know, and I think that Aaron really is trying to deflect the blame, right? He really doesn't want to, he's sort of like in a very half-hearted way kind of does, but I think you're right about the subtle hint at Moses sort of being gone too long, that it's really Moses' fault in Aaron's mind. I don't believe that to be true.
So we're going to take a vote in a moment, but yeah, Barbara, yeah?
I just wonder if from what you're reading, it sounds like Aaron didn't even stop to think or to talk to the people and say, let's give them another day.
Correct.
Or anything that would have stopped and slowed down the process. He just said, take off your gold and give it to me.
That's true.
Can I jump in for a
Yeah,
moment?
please, Kenner. Yeah.
I think that Aaron was left alone. God doesn't talk to Aaron.
Yeah.
God's by himself. Aaron's by himself. Moses is up there with God. Aaron's like, what do I do?
How the heck
There's
is-
no one to ask.
Yeah,
There's no one to ask about what's the right thing to do. So he just says, well, the people are telling me to do this, and there's a lot more of them than there are of me, so we'll have to do it.
I mean, he's in a tight spot.
It's true, and it left the babysitter with no instructions.
And there is actually
No number to call.
there is a midrashic tradition, which precisely to Canner's point, which suggests that Aaron knew of a previous incident in which the people had been angry at one of the Israelites who was in leadership and actually had killed him. And so Aaron, knowing that, is saying, I'm really in a lot of trouble here. But to Barbara's point, one of the ways you can read Aaron's actions, I think, is that he's just trying to kind of stall. You know, he's trying to stall things. Because he doesn't say, okay, we'll make the golden calf and let's start worshiping right now. I mean, it's done. It's ready. He says, okay, here it is. Let's wait, you know, one more day. And it seems like he's trying to stall a little bit. Anyone see God? Susan, yeah? Okay. Okay, so, and Shazi?
Yeah, it just seems like, you know, here it is. God knows these people. He knows that they're Sheol, you know? Why didn't he say he's going to be gone X number of times? Apparently, there is a tradition that they were told, but they counted wrong or something. But, you know, it seems like there was a lack of leadership communication.
I think Shazi...
Definitely a communication issue.
Yeah, I mean, Shazi's raising, I think, an important point, which is, yeah, what about God? I mean, if we say so God knew what was going on.
That's right.
God says, hey, there's bad stuff happening. So if he knew what was going on, he could have known to say, to Shazi's point, hey, this is going to take X number of days or whatever, so be prepared, and everyone's a little bit more ready. Arthur, get to you in 1 sec. Michael?
I think there's a suggestion here that it didn't happen right away. I mean, he took the gold right away, but yet it says he cast it in a mold.
That doesn't take a super long time.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes... Right. Sometimes,
Maybe it was in the things that they took from the Egyptians when they left Egypt, and maybe it was in the pilot. Yeah, maybe the Egyptians love to worship cows, right?
I mean, I think it's a fair question. I think if you ask that question, it's sort of part of the potential stall narrative.
Right, but the stall narrative is also that Aaron is building, right, the mold. There's also a mizbech, an altar, and then Chag Machar, right? There's going to be a festival tomorrow. But it seems to take that it will be like a day.
Seems to be trying to stretch it a little, at least a little bit. I'm going to get back to Shazi's point in a sec, but Arthur, yeah.
If it puts into strong relief the issue of succession, if you have a strong leader, how do you follow up? And here, because they felt that Moses was gone, Aaron took over. He was not capable of doing it. But that, for the future, how do you pick a leader, particularly after a strong leader?
Yeah, and the leadership doesn't go into the priestly family, and instead goes to Joshua, right? And there is, as the tradition sort of works through this issue and some subsequent issues, it begins to understand Aaron's role in one way and Moses' role in another.
Right. This incident really shapes how the people are going to do things in a political capacity and in a religious capacity.
And interestingly, Aaron is remembered well despite this. The tradition essentially says that Aaron was the nice guy. It was a little bit like carrot and stick, right? I mean, and that Moses was difficult, challenging, and not one who was likely to extend mercy. And Aaron was the one who had to kind of go into the camp and say, hey, it's going to be okay, we'll work it out, we'll take care of it. And part that comes from the way he plays his role here, even if he doesn't maybe get it exactly right. Yeah.
Well, God doesn't deny his part, too. In the verse right after what we read on page 5, 31, God says, pray down for your people who you brought out of the land of Egypt.
My favorite part, because Moses and God have this, relationship that's like a marital relationship. And when the kids do something bad, all of a sudden they're your kids, right? Your people, right? Look what your people are. Oh, so now when they're misbehaved, they're my people. But we're in this together, God, you and me, so we have to figure something out. But it's true. That's a good point.
So that's, I think, very, interesting and excellent close reading of the text. But Moses has a comeback. And this is back to Shazi's point. So God says to Moses, your people whom you brought out of the land of Egypt, right? And then look what Moses' response on page 532, verse 11. And Moses implored God, saying, let not your anger blaze against the people whom you delivered from the land of Egypt, right? Mm-hmm. So first, God says, Moses, and now Moses comes back. It's subtle, and Moses is always respectful, but he gets it in there. Okay, we're going to take a quick vote. So we'll put 3 parties into four, I guess. So the 4 will be Moses, Aaron, the people, and God. Moses, Aaron, the people, and God. So we're going to ask them one at a time, and whomever you think is, let's say, culpable, raise your hand. So Moses, first of all.
No.
All of them?
All of the above?
Okay, for Beverly, the 5th is all of the above. So no one's against. Okay, Moses gets off pretty clean. I'm surprised by that.
That's correct.
Okay, Aaron.
Oh yeah, I'm 100%. Yeah, that's me.
Fair number of people. I think that's going to end up being okay. How about the people? That'll be second so far. And God.
Blasphemy.
Okay, and artist is for God, but against. No, you know what I mean. And sort of everybody, all parties involved. Cantor, Emily, Jill, a little bit.